And what's happening out there, guys? Welcome along to another episode of 420 News, and I'm your show host, Martin Condon. And guys, 420 News is brought to you by Martin's World. Martin's World should get back up and running again very soon, guys. Lining up one or two guests there now as we speak, so we will have interviews back up and running as well in a not too distant future. Yes. I was kind of pondering, should I wear the hat with the suit today? I don't know, guys. I should start a poll there over on YouTube, see if we do the hat with the suit. But what do people think? Does it look a bit more professional, a bit more snazzy? Is it a bit more reputable if I throw on the old suit and tie? What do you think? We'll be still having a crack over here. Things will still, be the same. And maybe just change it up a little bit. Throw on the old suit and tie. See lots of comments coming in there, guys. Great to see the hot box hopping already, and the show is only just getting begun. I might as well join you in the hot box and hot box a little myself. Didn't get the volcano set up there today, so we're going to be doing it the old-fashioned way. We're going to be blazing. Who's that? Tinkle Tink, a hemp suit, I hope. I wish Tinkle Tink. Shout out to any tailors out there, I suppose. If any tailors are out there and they got access to some hemp fabrics and they're able to whip me up an old tailor-made hemp suit, I would gladly part with some hard-earned cash for that, as long as it's within me budget. But no, unfortunately, this is not a hemp suit, as much as I wish it bloody was. No, this was an old suit. I think I got it about 4 Christmases ago. I think I picked it up for Christmas about 4 or 5 years ago, thereabouts. And now it's become the 420 News suit. I don't get to wear this bloody thing enough, in fairness, and I'll be very honest, I don't really like wearing a shirt. I despise them. Brings back some fucking horrid memories of school, going to school in the morning, and you're like, I can remember I used to get killed over not tying my top button. I could not tie my top button, and like even right now that's not tied. I just have to tie it up really high to make it look as if it's tied, but I just can't tie it. I just think it feels very restrictive or something. And I'm a sporty, outgoing person. Like, I like the old tracksuits and stuff like that because you're more agile. I'll have to get on to, what's your man, what's his name? Texas Walker Ranger. Why can't I think of him? He's I can get Texas Walker Ranger, but I can't get his own real name. Oh, well, you know who I'm on about. He's got those stretchy bloody jeans and shit like that. I'd need some of those kind of clothes, so I can throw high kicks and stuff, because I know I always throw high kicks. Especially when Frank Fiend's about. You never know when Frank Fiend's about to throw an elbow, so you have to have those high kicks ready to defend yourself. A sharp teep to the gut there for Frankie boy if he comes near me with these elbows. Shouting at the buckets out there, Ross, Dr. Greenton, what's happening? Teresa in the audience as well, what's going on? Hunter is out there, what's going down, Hunter? Must check the post there later, actually, Hunter, to see what the crack is. There's probably a letter there for me, I just haven't checked the post box. Santa Leon out there as well. Mr. Finnegan, what's happening out there in the audience? Mr. Finnegan, I hope you're behaving yourself in the hot box. Scatness is out there as well. Dalgon is Adam Dum, what's happening? Ross, Dr. Greenthumb as well. Stoner Dan, what's going on, Mr. Stoner Dan? Actually, Stoner Dan, I have your t-shirt down there, boy. I was only wearing it down in the gym the other day. Repping the Stoner Dan I was. Sean M as well, what's going on, Sean? Anybody else I'm missing? Sean M says, hello Martin and everyone, happy High Wednesday. Yes, it is indeed. You got a bowl packed up here, so let's make it an extra High Wednesday. Let's join everybody in the hot box. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Ooh. Oh, what else is out there? John Finnegan says, look at that suit. Oh, getting you excited, John, am I? Others out there are probably thinking, oh yeah, Martin's in the court suit. No, it's my Christmas suit, actually. I don't do suits for courts. Don't believe in getting dressed up for people who've no respect for me. Dale Gone says, wow, looking slick, Martin. Nice one, nice one. We'll try to have a bit more crack with this. I'm playing around with the idea of doing the news segments, pre-recording them, and doing it very professional. Like, I've been looking at getting a teleprompter thing there as well hooked up to the camera. So, like, you see the way now I'm kind of looking down? I should be looking directly kind of up at the camera and stuff like that, keeping, I don't know what you kind of feel about that, but it's something I'd be always thinking of when I'm looking at the screen. And if I start looking over at my second screen, I'm not focused on ye out there, it seems, but playing around with ideas anyway to improve the show, that is, just to let you know. Nice one, guys. Love all the comments coming in there, guys. Everybody loving the new looks there. It's a change from the old hoodie anyway. And there we go. I knew there was going to be a comment about court out there. B. Mooney says, you in court today, Martin? I knew somebody was going to say it. I just knew it. Scatna says, just came back from making a coffee, and I'm like, the fuck, who's that guy and why? Who's that and why? It is the same old guy, same old guy, just dressed differently. Tinkle Tink says, I have to say I don't own a suit. I didn't either. The first suit I got was when I was in Thailand, and it was a tailor-made one over there. It was really nice, and that was the only suit I owned up until I bought this one about 3 years ago. So there was quite a period of my life when I didn't own a suit either. And even since owning a suit, I've probably only worn it maybe 2 handfuls of times, like, if even that. Ties are for slaves, says Tinkle Tink. Scatna says, shirt, suit and tie is mad uncomfy. Like, it really is. Like, and if you're moving around here, if you're trying to hit a bong and stuff, like, it starts riding on you and it starts coming up, and you're always fixing yourself, trying to look dapper. Hey, what's happening out there, Serenable? Casas the drug ass in the house as well. Says, the love and the 3-piece. Nice one, Casa. Hunter says, "Hey Martin, I might want to check it before the rain." It's already been raining, but don't worry, it's dry where the post arrives. Ross, Dr. Greenthumb says that he needs a slap big time, that Frankie Fian fella. He does indeed. Not that I condone violence, but nor do I condone prohibition. John Finian says, I love that Martin has dressed up for us and wears a hoodie and jeans to court. Fucking legend. Not a bother at all, John, by things I do for you out there, guys. Love you all. Jesus, I was only looking at the numbers there a while ago, actually, guys. Not that I watch the numbers too often, but I just said I'd have a look for the crack, and there's 2,278 of you following me over on Instagram. Over on Facebook, then, we've got over 6,000 followers, and on YouTube, then, guys, we're still just shy of that 2,000 subscriber mark at what is it now to be exact? 1,900 and drum roll 78. We lost one since Monday. What's going on out there on YouTube? YouTube is where I get most of the views, like Facebook and stuff like that, and Twitch as well, the live streams. You see the numbers up there. Facebook rarely goes above 10. Twitch barely hits 5 at times. YouTube's normally around 20 to 40, sometimes even 50. But over the last, 2 weeks, I've noticed since I brought attention to the fact that I was about to hit 2,000 subscribers, there's been a bit of an exodus on the subscriber count. So not too sure what the crack is with that. But look, it is what it is. I don't really mind anyway. I'm still going to continue as I was. Larry Lou says, there's a teleprompter app you can download for your phone. Might be a handy way to test it out. There you go, Larry Lou. Nice one for that. Yeah, I was looking at doing one here by combining it with the screen and the camera above. But yeah, I think there's ones you can get with your camera as well. That probably would work much better. It's just figuring out connecting the camera up to the streaming apps here and stuff. But we get there. It's doable, all right. Casa Destroga says, Martin repping big cannabis lobby now. Yes, it's funny that you say that, actually. I had a meeting yesterday with the CEO of an Irish cannabis company, an Irish medical cannabis company, Olio, and they gave me this guy. It's one of their medical devices. So Olio is registered with the HPRA, which is the Health Products Regulatory Authority. Their product, this device, along with the Bedrocan cannabis, then the two in combination, are listed as an approved medical product on the Medicinal Cannabis Access Program. Well, I was down meeting with the CEO yesterday and had a very interesting conversation. And I'll just say it, guys, if there's anybody out there who meets the criteria for the Medicinal Cannabis Access Program, that being, you have refractory epilepsy, you've multiple sclerosis that's refractory, and it's pain related too, not the spasticity, and the nausea with chemotherapy, and that has to be refractory too. Refractory basically means you have to have tried the other medicines and not responded before you'll be approved for allowance for cannabis. Well, if you're like unfortunate enough to be in that situation, where you tick those boxes, then you can get on to these guys, Olio, and let them know your situation. They'll get in touch with your consultant and help you out in getting you prescribed this product. It's completely free if you're going to be one of those three conditions, and it comes with I believe he was saying up to 20 grams of cannabis a month. The device then, just to see here, slides out very, very nice. Comes with a little leaflet inside of her. So we're doing a little unboxing here. Actually, I didn't even plan to do this, but as Cassidus Trug said it, he said I might as well go with it. But little instruction leaflet there, just kind of showing you, how to open her up, pack it up, turn her on, and use it. Some instructions there as well about device care and cleaning and things. Comes with a nice little kit then as well, inside in this little box here at the bottom. Comes with a nice little kit there. You have the charger in there for the device. It's a USB-C charger, isn't it? Is that the normal one? USB-C, micro USB, one of those. And then it comes with a little scrubber and also a little pokey tool as well. I don't know if you can see that at all. There you go. Very nice little thing. So that comes in the device. Unfortunately, he didn't give me any of the Bedrocan cannabis with this, but he did give me this little device then. So it's a nice little device. Has a little child safety mechanism on it, in that like you have to tap this button here at the front 5 times, and then it comes on. So I don't know if you can see that there now. Go on, focus camera. There we go. So it's telling you 217 Fahrenheit. You can change that to Celsius then as well. There's your little mouthpiece. Pop that little guy up, and nice and simple, isn't it? Like, it's like pop this mouthpiece off. Your cannabis then goes inside in here, little herbal cannabis. He was saying there's going to be an attachment, or there's going to be some oils and extracts going to be available for these devices as well in a not too distant future. But for right now, it's only approved with the Bedrocan cannabis flowers. So it's Olio and Bedrocan. That's kind of the two products that you'll be getting. But I think that the Bedrocan is coming through Olio. So it's a very interesting one. It's very interesting to hear the barriers, the hurdles that this company is facing with getting patients access to these products, because again, as you imagine, there's probably many patients out there who do tick those boxes, but because of the restraints, these companies are not even able to go on to the radio and stuff like that and talk about, the fact that, hey, we're a medical cannabis company, and if you're out there and you tick these boxes, come and get in touch with us and we'll get you your product, because that's seen as to be advertising cannabis as a medicine and stuff like that. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But this is a really cool device. As I have it on there now, I'm actually just going to pack it up. I haven't used it yet. So there's the little chamber. Apparently it holds up to 0.2 grams of cannabis. So there we go. We just packed a little chamber there. Right, yeah. Probably overpacked it, but what can you do? There's a little indentation on the bottom of this then, like, so as I press down onto this, it just sits down on top of it. Nice. It's a magnetic catch then as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, it's gone dead. That would happen then, wouldn't it? Luckily, I think I've an old charger there nearby, so we get a charge there, and we'll test it out in a couple of minutes. Keep in mind, I haven't charged this at all since I brought it back, so there was a bit of power in it, but obviously I should have charged it. which now we're doing now. So that's it. That's it. Connected to the charger, little USB plug there. So we're going to stick this into the USB now. One sec. So there we go. That's Olio. Anyway, guys. So oleo.ie. Check them out if you want. It's just very interesting. It was a very interesting story. I'm going to have the CEO on as a guest on the podcast in the not too distant future. He's just got a couple of things there that he'd like to get over the line, and I would like for him to get over the line as well, because once he gets it over the line, he'll be free to talk about it more openly with me. But while applications are going on, I just thought it was best just to give him an extra week or two there, just to get a few things done, and hopefully we can have a bit more of a wider conversation about everything that he's been doing. But that's Olio, guys, olio.ie. And he's a local Cork man too, so that was great. His name was Richard, was the CEO. It's a husband and wife company as well, which I thought was great as well. I believe he said his wife was a software engineer, and he himself then is a medical device, I suppose, expert. But it was great meeting him, and I look forward to catching up with him again in the not too distant future. And I look forward to testing out this device there as well in a few minutes. John Finnegan says, is that basically a dry herb vaporizer? That's exactly what it is, John Finnegan. It's a dry herb vaporizer. So you take a little bit of dry herb, as I said, it takes up to 0.2 of a gram into that little chamber, and there you go, you can dose it. It was very interesting as well, talking to him about the dosage and stuff like that, and how patients work with health consultants to relay information. Again, as I mentioned there, his wife is a software technologist, a technology expert. So they're developing an app that goes along with this as well, where there's always kind of a gathering of data going on there from the patient and from the general practitioner as well. Where the patient, when they're using the cannabis, they can record, where their pain level is at, if it's pain that they're treating, or in the case of what it's actually approved for at the moment is nausea associated with chemotherapy. It's not actually got approval for the other two conditions, although there's efforts there to make approval available too. But it's just nausea. So again, you mark down where your nausea level is and the app, and then you take a hit, and a couple of minutes later, half an hour later, you might mark down again as to where you're feeling and how much of a dose you took and stuff like that. So it was very interesting. The future was certainly looking promising, all right, for patients. But again, it's just not happening fast enough. Like, listening, I felt like crying yesterday listening to this guy and what he had to go through. And look, obviously the guy's in it for money and profit and stuff, and people be like, oh, no sympathy for them. But like, the guy is trying everything. He's been at this since 2019 to get these products out there. We're now in 2022, obviously with COVID and shit, which obviously added to the time delay there, but still, nonetheless, 3 years before he got the product approved, despite having pretty much everything there, It's just that you have to go above and beyond for cannabis-based medicines. Yeah, you can put weed in it, Ross, Dr. Green Thumb. Welcome to the show there, Rain and Rocks. Roy Duggan out there as well. Nice one, Roy. Looking sharp, he says. Yes. Clean up well, don't we? Only for you guys, though. It's not a court day. I'm just looking through the rest of your comments there, guys, and we'll get stuck into some of the other headlines there in a couple of seconds. You might try out that vape there as well before we get going. Or, you know what, feck, we just pack up another bong, it's quicker. Oh. There not. Lost me ashy. Oh, you still up in the hospital, Ross? I see that there, the epoxy pneumonia you're saying. Shit, hopefully you get better soon, man. a week already. That sucks. Pat Whelan says, awful how they can't go on radio to let patients know about it. It is, it really is. Jeez, I got really bright there all of a sudden, didn't I? What's that all about? Looked very lightened up. John Finnegan says, get up out of that bed, you lazy fecker ass. Ross is up today walking about. Good to hear that you're back on your feet anyway. Hey, welcome to the hot box, Cannaman. Hopefully you're having a nice day out there in that garden of yours. So the news then today, guys. So let's get right on into it. We go to Balbriggan, where a trucker apparently was caught with €1,500 worth of cannabis. So this is coming out of the independent.ie, where it says a truck driver with more than €1,500 worth of cannabis slipped back into drug abuse following a family tragedy, a court has heard. But another kind of sentence that they could have wrote here, like, is a truck driver caught with more than €1,500 worth of cannabis had fallen back into self-medicating with cannabis as a result of a family tragedy. You know, like they always go straight for the jugular with these ones. Drug abuse. The guy was a drug addict. He was a drug abuser. But like, where's the opportunity there just to kind of show a bit of sympathy towards the person, like given a family tragedy, and acknowledge the fact that his drug abuse was actually a form of self-medication. And we as, you know, or as the media, I suppose, with their twisted perspective and things, you know, they take an opportunity to fire shots at people. It's very unfortunate. The man is named here in the article, and I have it up on screen. Hopefully it's not as viewable, as legible to yourselves out there. But he's named here as a 40-year-old individual anyway, pleaded guilty to possession of drugs and possession of drugs for sale and supply following the search of his home in October 23rd, 2020. So again, this is a case that is going on for over a year and a half, thereabouts a year and a half. So for a year and a half, this guy has been dealing with the stress and the anxiety of the pending court case and what's going to happen. And, you know, getting caught with €1,500 worth of cannabis, that's definitely going to be a bit worrying. This guy definitely most likely was considering the idea that he was going to end up in jail at the end of this, you know, and that's stressful. Bad enough you had to deal with a family tragedy on top of then being punished for that, you know. But the Garda involved in this anyway, Aaron Shanahan, said he carried out a search under Section 26 of the Misuse of Drugs Act in the date in question, and a quantity of cannabis to the value of €1,526 was found. The defendant made admission to owning the drugs and signed the Garda notebook confirming this. The Garda Shanahan agreed with the defence barrister Annette Keeley that the defendant was cooperative. The defendant had 13 previous convictions, including one for possession of drugs for sale and supply dating back to 2014, for which he received a 4-month suspended sentence. So the guy did get the leniency, I suppose, of the courts in the past with a suspended sentence. But in this case now, what they're doing is they're treating the guy like a drug addict, you know. I've read through this earlier, like, but basically what happened is the case has been put back to the 12th of June in preparation for a probation report. The judges are putting pressure on the individual that he needs to provide clean urinalysis samples in order to kind of get, again, I suppose, an opportunity of leniency from the courts. But it's a horrible one, you know, again, because given the situation here, the guy suffered a family tragedy. He turned to self-medicating with cannabis, and as a result, he probably was maybe selling a bit of cannabis on the side. He is a truck driver, you know, maybe that was kind of, he was taken advantage of because of that job. You know, hey, you're a truck driver, you're driving trucks around that, sure, the guards rarely stop you and stuff like that. Yeah, just throw a thing into an old bag there into the car, you know. So again, another individual taken advantage of possibly by organised crime gangs out there just because of, you know, his vulnerable situation. He was probably consuming more cannabis than what he could afford, maybe with his job. Maybe he owns his own truck or something like that, and given the fuel prices and shit, well, I suppose that wasn't the case back then, but yeah, well, you know what I mean. Everybody has got problems in their own life, and a family tragedy is definitely going to drive a person to self-medicating with their drug of choice. The guy could have been a cannabis consumer in the past anyway, you know, given the fact that he was caught with drugs in the past for dealing. Was that cannabis too? I'm assuming it was. Is he a bad guy? No. People have to buy cannabis. People have to sell cannabis in order for others to buy it. It's a mutually beneficial exchange that happens when it happens, and nobody's being victimized. At least you would hope people aren't being victimized. And if they are being victimized, it's as a result of cannabis prohibition, and not as a result of, you know, cannabis or drug dealers. You know, it's cannabis prohibition. It's the blame, really. Will we throw in the Martin's World hat, will we? There we go. We do a little bit in the hat, will we? Mr. John H out there as well. Got to appreciate the old super chat coming in there a couple of minutes ago. Absolute legend. Thanks very much for that. Again, guys, all fun sent in here to the show. Do go towards fighting for cannabis legalization in Ireland, and also to improve the show. As I said in the past there, we've picked up a couple of bits of equipment with donations that have come in, and it's been really great to be able to be afforded that opportunity. I was out in the city there yesterday, albeit not a very productive day, but I did get out there and talk to a couple of individuals. I'm working on a video there now at the moment about recent comments from a judge in an Irish court. I was getting the public's opinion on that, and again, that was afforded to me because of the kind and generous donations that have come in here to the show over the last year and a half. Guys, you're all absolute legends out there. You know, keep liking, sharing, and all that stuff as well. You know, that's the really appreciated stuff as well. But the donations, they're just extra special. Nice one again, guys. So we drive on then, guys, from Balbriggan. And we go from Balbriggan then to Wexford. We're in County Wexford. There was €129,000 worth of cocaine and cannabis seized, and 2 individuals were arrested. A 45-year-old man and a 53-year-old woman were arrested after the drugs were seized down in Wexford today, I believe, is it? Or yesterday, Tuesday. The seizure occurred at a premises in the Gordy area of Wexford following the intelligence-led operation targeting people suspected to be involved in organised crime in the Wexford area. So again, when they say an intelligence-led operation, that means that there was a hell of a lot of hours gone into this, probably a lot of Garda overtime as well. You know, all of that time spent in these operations is time that they're not spending on operations targeting, let's say, child abuse rings, you know, child pedophilia rings. That's sick, really. That any time would be taken away for more serious crimes with an actual victim, rather than being out there focused on crimes where it's a mutually beneficial exchange and nobody is being hurt. It says the seizure, which resulted in the capture of 6 kilos of cannabis and a small quantity of cocaine with an estimated value of 129,000, was conducted by the Revenue Customs Service and the Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau and the Wexford Divisional Drug Unit. So again, you have 3 different arms of the Justice Department there, I suppose. You've the Revenue, you've the Garda, and you've the Divisional Drugs Unit as well, the more regional stuff. So again, what they seized there, 6 kilos of cannabis. So that accounts for 120,000 of the seizure, and then there was 9,000 worth of cocaine. And again, you know, if people want to talk about gateways, well, here we see again another prime example as to how prohibition is a gateway to other drugs. You know, for cannabis users, for example, if you're an up and coming new cannabis consumer, say in the Wexford area, you know, you're 16, 17, and you're just getting around into the cannabis scene, and next you buy cannabis off of these guys, and they got cocaine too. And now they're saying, hey, you buy a bit of cannabis, do you ever try this cocaine stuff? Here, take a bit there for free. Let's just see if you like it, like. And if you like it, sure, come back there and we'll sell you some. And lo and behold, some young fella tries it and he likes it and he goes back and he's getting addicted and he's fucking having to sell it. And before we know it, we've got bloodshed all over bloody Wexford town then as well, you know, as well as we do above in Dundalk, associated with the sale and supply of cocaine. And for whatever reason, the sale and supply of cocaine, it's definitely associated with a lot more bloodshed and violence, as that's the case anyway above in Dundalk, where John, there was a young fella bloody beheaded there, like his body, he was dismembered, his entire body chopped up, sick stuff, like he was a teenager as well. And yet there's still people out there supporting the idea of prohibition as a hell-led approach to drugs. Nonsense. But that's coming out of Wexford anyway, guys. 129,000 worth of cocaine and cannabis seized down there. Again, if we didn't have prohibition in place, we wouldn't have these kind of seizures taking place. And cannabis and cocaine, most likely, if proper regulation allowed, it would not be sold in the same place. So we drive on from there then, guys, and we go to... Oh, excuse me. Well, we go to the UK. Let's finish with the UK today, and we go to the US. Let's go to the US where we revisit our buddy old Mikey Tyson. Mikey Tyson, it seems that he's edibles. Do you remember these airs that we visited there not too long ago? Well, it seems like they're after getting a kind of an old 1-2, but they're down, but they're not out. That's after the state of Colorado banned his cannabis edibles, the ones shaped like a human hair with a bite out of them. The reason why they're being banned is because of legislation in Colorado which prohibits cannabis edibles being made in the shape of humans. I thought that was to be quite funny when I was reading this one. It says the state of Colorado in the United States has officially banned Mike Tyson's air-shaped cannabis edible gummies named Mike Bites due to a law that was introduced back in 2016. Colorado have prohibited weed edibles from being shaped like humans to avoid experiencing situations where kids get hooked on marijuana. But like when I read this, I was like, what's going on over there in Colorado that kids are getting hooked on sweets that look like humans? Have we got something cannibalistic type fucking situation going on over there where like, just kids out there and they kind of got a bit of a craving for things that look like humans? We should be a bit more worried about the fact that there's kids out there who've got an insatiable appetite for candies that look like humans. Like that's very worrying for me, more than cannabis edibles. Obviously I'm joking, I know that's not the case. They're giving more to like the jelly babies and stuff like that. That's where that law was put into place. Jelly babies, and what were the other ones? Those little fucking the Sour Patch dolls, those kind of ones, they're kind of human-shaped dolls as well. So that's why that law would have been put into place, and I don't disagree with it. I think, if you've got a cannabis edible, like, come on, we're all adults, like, it's like, it'd be great, yeah, if it was to be shaped in a certain way and all that, like, and I love the kind of the comedy, I suppose, that comes with the Mike's Bites, the airs and stuff like. But in reality, look, what you want is a nice tasting jelly that contains cannabis, and you can get that in a square, in a circle, in a round shape, and whatever shape. It doesn't have to resemble anything. We don't need packaging either. The only thing we need on the packaging is just the display, is the maker, the name of the maker, the contents of the package, and all of that. Like, we don't need all of this fancy packaging. Like, this is my opinion when it comes to drug policy. I don't think any drugs should be advertised at all, and that includes alcohol. If the drug is good enough, the people will seek it out themselves. I don't think that any drug selling company, including tobacco, alcohol, and all of the rest of them, should be allowed to advertise their drug. Again, drugs are great in their own right, and if a person wants it, they're going to seek it out, and they're going to be able to get it, and they don't need a fucking bus stop with Jack Daniels up there saying, hey, Jack Daniels is great. It's just like, why do I need that? Like, why do I need that to be in my face all the time? It's like, if I want alcohol, I'll seek it out. I know where to get it. There's an off license, and down there, when I'm in there, then by all means, advertise the shit out of alcohol in the off license, in the cannabis dispensary, in wherever it is the drug is being sold. If we have a tobacconist, we don't have tobacconists in Ireland, unfortunately, anymore. We have your local shop that sells tobacco. But like, if we did have tobacconist, by all means, advertise tobacco in a tobacconist, but ban the entry to minors, like we do from gambling premises. So that's my position anyway on just the wider conversation around advertising of drugs to society. Hi, Aaron. I see Aaron out there in the audience. What's happening, Aaron? So that's the story there for Mike Tyson anyway. His cannabis edibles are down, they're not out, as his product is still going to be available across other states in the US where cannabis edibles are legal to be sold. But in the state of Colorado, instead of the gummies being in the shape of the air with a little bite taken out of them, they're going to be in the shape of a letter T instead. So let's hope there's no kids out there whose favourite letter is T, because, there might be a new law coming down the road for Tyson again if there is. So yes, that's Mike Tyson anyway, and Mike is back in the 420 news today. Hunter says, Martin's World soul, take my money. Canaman 83 says, offer community services while high. R&B says, if Martin wore a flat cap, he'd look more like a Healy Raid and a Peaky Blinder. Sound, I'll take that as a compliment, I guess. Hein Homegrown says, what the F, only just noticed Martin's in a suit. And they say the drugs don't work. They just make you worse. Ross Dr. Greentime says, I've got the makings, just nowhere to smoke it. That's a heartbreaker, man, isn't it? You'll find somewhere, alright. And if anybody's smells you, just apologise. It's always easy to apologise. Tell them you won't do it again. Or else just apologise and don't lie to them and just be like, I'll try not to let you catch me next time. Barry Fields is out there as well, says all the prohibitionists saying think of the kids but not one calling for a ban on sports sponsorship like they did tobacco. Yeah, there you go, But what I think is hilarious as well, and I suppose it's slightly off topic here, is the Olympics and McDonald's and Coca-Cola. I'm like, what in the name of God is going on here? Like, surely it should have been sponsored by a fucking local veg company or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like McDonald's and Coca-Cola. It's like fucking two things I don't really want my kids to be consuming because they are not good for the human body. They are toxic shite. Tasty as fuck, but toxic as fuck as well, They're gonna ask them down but not out. I'm a laughy face. Yes, you like what I done there, yeah? Hey, Juicy Irish says the drugs make you worse. It's the bong. Yes, needed something to cheer me up after some of this depressing news there. Poor Mike Tyson. So let's drive on, guys. As I said, we're going to go back to the UK as we've got a couple of headlines there out of the UK. We have one actually out of Thailand, but it's not much new. I just wanted to touch off it as the just to point out something. The media, like here we have the Guardian. They like to put out these clickbaity articles from time to time because I reckon every time they put out a headline like this, Thailand dreams of high-end cannabis tourism after marijuana is legalized, that they get a lot of clicks. And I read through the article. It's an interesting article. There's nothing new there at all in terms of information. I remember reading the last Guardian article, and it's pretty much the same stuff, except they just talk about a new newsletter that was put out by some other guy. But again, I just can't help but notice here that there seems to be an effort by the media, to kind of cash in there on the interest that's out there in cannabis legalization. Because I tend to think that when they put out a headline like this, they get a lot of clicks. I reckon they do. They get a lot of clicks from a certain population out there. But then at the same time, and I'm going to drive on from this. As I said, there's nothing really new in here. They talk about Thailand having a very big health and wellness tourist industry, and how cannabis, the low THC variety of cannabis specifically, is going to offer an opportunity to boost that industry in a meaningful way. Spas and cafes are already popping up all over Thailand offering cannabis-infused products, cannabis-infused kind of therapies and topicals and all of this kind of stuff, even like cannabis-infused baths. So there's really interesting stuff being done over there at the moment in Thailand. But again, they talk about marijuana being legalized, but it's not even marijuana. It's hemp that's actually being legalized over there, as it's only the 0.2% that they're talking about. The kind of high THC stuff is still frowned upon in Thailand. But again, being able to differentiate it is going to be hard, obviously. But we see what happens over there. I look forward to visiting Thailand, actually. I'll finish with that. But we go back to the UK, and again, we talk about misleading headlines and all of that stuff. There's been a massive effort over the last couple of days by the media, and I'm going to pop up an image that I created there. Or you know what, I'll actually just pop up the article. This is a headline here. So this is one of many headlines that are out there. It says, Mum says tragic farewell to daughter who died after eating Cannabis Sweet. So again, the emphasis here is on eating Cannabis Sweet. So again, this woman who died here tragically, and it was a very avoidable tragedy. Should the people with the power had done what was the right thing to have done a long fucking time ago when people were campaigning for it. But that is the regulation of cannabis. The real reason this woman died, and I put out an article there, some of you might have seen it earlier on today, but the real reason this woman died is as a result of cannabis prohibition. So this was the article that I put together in response to seeing these many headlines that were out there demonising cannabis use. And that's what I've seen it as. It's an effort to demonise cannabis use at a time when cannabis legalisation is so close for so many countries. There's definitely an active effort in the British media and British owned kind of media. There's a certain ownership of media. You seen headlines over Nigeria, and the word for word the exact same as some of the UK headlines. So obviously there's kind of a crossover of ownership there, and they're just sending their content out to other places. But again, I'm saying that this woman was killed by cannabis prohibition because this woman, and her name is Damiola Olankmi, and she was from Ilford in East London, and her and a friend bought cannabis-infused gummies, at least what they believe to be cannabis-infused gummies, through a messaging app, and they were delivered to their front door. And after eating one of the jellies, herself and her friend both fell ill immediately. They felt so ill that they actually attended the London hospital, where sadly then a number of days later the Damiola passed away. She had a 5-day battle for her life, where you see the picture here. Tragically, her mum sat in a bedside vigil until she tragically passed away on Saturday. But again, I just think it's appalling that the media are using this as an opportunity to kind of fire shots at cannabis use, when in fact it's been said in all of the articles that it was a synthetic cannabinoid contained within the gummies that actually tragically led to the death of this woman, and not cannabis. So again, we were talking about misinformation and false news. Like look at this one. I don't know if you can see that. That's probably really small there now, actually. So I'll get up the image. I just have a couple of the headlines here in an image. So one second, I'll pop this up on screen for you guys. So there we go. A media misinformation campaign incorrectly claiming cannabis gummy was the cause of death. So that's what's actually included within the article there. It's just a little bit bigger on the screen, and it's a little bit blurry, I think, there. But you see those different misleading headlines, all claiming that it was cannabis that caused the death, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a synthetic cannabinoid. And it's only called this cannabinoid as it interacts with the cannabinoid system, but it actually has nothing to do with cannabis at all. At all. It's like a woman who died because she had peanuts and she had a peanut allergy, but saying she actually died because she had a fucking pineapple. Do you know? It's like, she had pineapple and peanuts. And just like, yeah, a woman who had a pineapple died. And this is like completely ignoring the fact she had a peanut allergy and she had peanuts as well. Like, this woman did not eat a cannabis edible. She ate a synthetic cannabinoid. Like, there's a serious misinformation going on out there, and I can't help but think that there's an active effort by certain media conglomerations to actively demonize cannabis use, through these misleading headlines. And it's not the first time you see stuff like that. Like, and I don't know if any of you agree or disagree, but it's not the first time I've seen stuff like this. There was the headline there going back a number of weeks ago when they were claiming that a man had killed his girlfriend as a result of eating cannabis edibles. But again, what did those cannabis edibles actually contain any cannabis, or was it one of these synthetic cannabinoids that drew the guy crazy? because a synthetic cannabinoid can be 1,000 times more potent than a cannabis molecule. 1,000 times more potent. Like, think about that, gram for gram, you know. That is absolutely ludicrous. And synthetic cannabinoids are easily bought as well. Cassidus Drugas out there saying the Guardian originally didn't specify that it was a synthetic cannabinoids and not cannabis. A correction was later placed in small writing. Like, there you go, in small writing then as well either. Like, it should have been the headline. It should have been a new article posted and highlighting the fact that, hey guys, actually, yeah, it was synthetic cannabinoids that killed this woman, and it's a high time that we have a conversation about regulation in order to avoid tragedies like this. Because that's where my article goes. I'll finish off going through it. It says this situation could have easily been avoided should the 23-year-old law student had a legal and regulated avenue through which she could access cannabis products similar to that in a number of US states and Canada too. Cannabis has been legal in the US for medical use for over 30 years, and for wider adult use now it's legal in 18 US states. Never was a single death recorded over this time which can be blamed on cannabis use, and if there was, you would be sure the prohibitionists would remind us of it at every opportunity they got. The only reason this woman died is because of cannabis prohibition. The media has already taken this opportunity to fire shots at cannabis use with the misleading headlines claiming that this woman died from eating a cannabis gummy, but it was a synthetic cannabinoid gummy which she actually ate. Some of these cannabinoids are highly experimental and dangerous. And I throw a link in there as well to the study that we went down in France a number of years ago, where there was a number of people hospitalised, and sadly one person lost their life due to brain hemorrhaging when they were trialling synthetic cannabinoids, where I thought it was an eating disorder, but I'm reading in other places it was to treat pain, but nonetheless it was a synthetic cannabinoid, and they were trying to profit off it really, like, when again, you know, the real medicine is in the cannabis plant. That's where the money should have been spent in investigating and researching, and unfortunately it's not. An individual then has been arrested in connection to this tragic death. A guy by the name of Leon Brown, 37 years of age, from South Norwood in the UK, has been charged with possession with intent to supply Class B synthetic cannabinoid, being concerned in the supply of a synthetic cannabinoid, and possession with intent to supply a psychoactive substance. The Met Police said he was found with a large quantity of cash and what were believed to be edible cannabis products. He appeared in custody at the Barkingside Magistrates Court on Monday, and the details of how that court case actually went are unavailable, but I'd imagine that the guy is still in custody and has probably been charged with those, what was mentioned there, those 3 charges earlier. I don't know would he be charged with manslaughter. I was looking again earlier on today, and I've seen no updates out there available at the moment. But it's out there. I think they could potentially try to do this guy for manslaughter if they're able to kind of say that he sold her the cannabis, synthetic cannabinoids. I wonder, would they do it? Like, what do you think? Tests have been conducted on a number of the sweets recovered by the police, and officers are working to identify any other cases where people have become seriously unwell after eating synthetic cannabis sweets and gummies similar to these products. They are aware of one potentially linked case in which a woman was taken unwell earlier in March after eating a cannabis sweet in Tower Hamlets. She was taken to the hospital and later discharged, and inquiries are ongoing to establish whether this sweet was part of a batch of sweets associated with the woman's death. And again, you know, you look at this, if this was a regulated environment where this was a batch of sweets that went out there and it happened to get fucking contaminated for one reason or another, guess how easy it is to actually follow batches once you've got regulation? Because again, you know, you can put out a recall and, you know, there'll be a traceability, you know, within the producers. They're going to have a batch number. They'll know the batch number that's affected. They know where that batch actually went to. They can get onto those people they supplied that to, and they can issue a recall. They can get those suppliers to get onto their customers who potentially bought that, to kind of say, hey, don't consume that because, you know, you might be unwell afterwards. There's regulation working. There's regulation working and saving lives too. So again, the prohibitionists out there, again after this, have got blood on their hands, and I hope they take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask themselves, you know, is supporting prohibition really the right thing to be doing? And one prohibitionist out there who should have a look in the mirror is Chief Superintendent Stuart Bell. He's from the Met Police, and he wastes his breath then by warning people against taking illegal substances, including those packaged in the form of cannabis sweets. again, it's just say no, guys. Just say no. Don't do drugs, guys. It's like, come on. Like, people are dying from illegal drugs for years, and that hasn't hindered people's fucking desire to experiment with them, is it? Has it? No, it hasn't. He said, people do not buy or consume these. People, please do not buy these or consume these products. They are illegal, and because of the child-friendly packaging, they can pose a risk of accidental consumption. Says, I go on to say that if Mr. Bell really wanted to do his job and protect the public, he would be sending a strongly worded letter to those with the power to end the prohibition of cannabis, to regulate the supply to adults so the police resources are no longer wasted, and to ensure a safe supply of product to adult consumers like the 23-year-old law student who sadly paid the ultimate price for a simple lack of regulation. He added that this particular batch of sweets was contained in the packaging featuring the Trilly Peachy O's. It has not been confirmed at this stage where the sweets were manufactured. The chief superintendent went on to say that drug dealers harm communities and risk the safety of individuals. We will take positive action to target those engaged in this activity as well as those found in possession of these substances. And again, I ask Mr. Bell or Mr. Bellend, if drug dealers harm communities, what is it that prohibitionists are doing to our communities? Because, like, if you're claiming that a drug dealer does substantial harm to our communities, and it seems that a drug dealer really wouldn't exist within our communities if it wasn't for prohibition. So what is it the prohibitionists are doing to our communities? Like, are the prohibitionists not responsible for the drug dealers? Much like in alcohol prohibition, prohibition would have been responsible for the rise of people like Al Capone and the other mafias and bootleggers and all of that kind of stuff that went on during the alcohol prohibition era. I'll finish off the article then by saying that I really would like to offer my condolences to the family and friends of Damiola Olankmi. And I hope that her death is not in vain, and I really do hope that the powers out there, with those with the power to do so, act to avoid further tragedies like this. Hashtag Prohibition Kills, hashtag Cannabis Reform UK, hashtag Cannabis Reform Ireland. And actually, I'm just going to go over there to Twitter. And I have this up there on Twitter at the moment. Onto my profile. Oh, look, Martin's live. Mr. Frankie Boy. Our TD, Frank Fian, believes cannabis prohibition, which killed a 23-year-old law student in the UK, is a hell-led approach to cannabis use. So, guys, if you're over on Twitter, get over there and give this a little share for me. Feel free to go over to Twitter as well and download it and redistribute it to anywhere you see fit. Damiola Olankmi intended to consume a cannabis-infused jelly containing THC, but instead it contained a synthetic cannabinoid. Her death is a result of cannabis prohibition. TD Frank Fian, Minister with responsibility for Ireland's national drug strategy, pictured on this. Again, you're all very familiar with this guy if you've been watching this show at all. So yes, that is one tragic news story coming out of the UK. But, like, again, while there's a lot of bad out there about cannabis and stuff, there's a lot of good as well. I was reading this earlier on today about Kaylee Ross, a medical cannabis patient over there in the UK, and she was recently given an award over there by the Health Cannabis magazine, Cannabis Health magazine. She was given an award by the Health Cannabis magazine for being a woman who contributed in a significant way to the cannabis campaign, cannabis legalization campaign. So Katie Ross is a mother of 5. She's 28 years of age, and she's pictured here with her partner Matthew Ross. Both parents actually pictured here are medical cannabis patients. I don't know off the top of my head what Kaylee Ross is using it for, but I know her partner Matthew is using it for multiple sclerosis. Kaylee has been using it for conditions including functional neurological disorder, fibromyalgia, and CPTSD. So that's what she is using cannabis for. She's a legal medical cannabis user over in the UK, and she's a mother of 5. And what I thought was very interesting within this article here is Kaylee talking about how cannabis has changed her life in a really huge way. And she's been able to be the best mum she can possibly be to her children. And she's not saying the pharmaceuticals are all bad, but she's curious why cannabis is always last resort. And that's after she went from taking 32 tablets a day, that includes opioids and other medications for her condition. And she found it particularly difficult to overcome also the stigma associated with using the cannabis as a medicine and also being a parent. And again, that stigma only exists because of the prohibition of cannabis, because of this narrative that's out there around cannabis use. Do you know that cannabis use leads to death? You know, that was, like, you see it, it's crazy when you see it, like when you do the Google search. Wow. Sorry, I was getting a bit of cotton mouth there. I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Kaylee in the not too distant future. I'll certainly make effort there to get her on as a guest, because I'd love to talk to her about being charged for the possession of cannabis going back in 2017. She was caught in possession of 13 grams of cannabis prior to legislative changes that made it lawful for specialist doctors to prescribe cannabis. So it'll be interesting to hear from her, you know, as to kind of how that changes, what it was like back then, and how things have changed now, and if there's any kind of pathway to retribution, would that be the right word, or I don't know what the word is there, you know, where she can be paid back for that punishment that was unfairly handed to her, because, you know, after 2017, after that legislative change, you know, a doctor was able to prescribe it, but before that legislative change, you know, she was still the same person requiring the same medicine, but she's got a criminal conviction, I would imagine, for that. So it'll be interesting to see what she has to say when I do get to catch up with her. This article is over there, guys, on Shetland News. So if you'd like to read that article yourself, head over there to the Shetland News, and you'll be able to find that article. Again, as I said, I will make effort to have Kaylee and Matthew both onto the podcast, as I would love to talk to both parents. Do you know, about their cannabis use, about the past there, about what it's like now, and again, how they're handling the stigma, and if they're facing any problems as a result of that too. Coming out of Wales then, guys, this is a very interesting one, you know, because I wanted to finish with the UK here, because there's some positive ones. I thought that one in Sheffield News with Kaylee Ross, I thought that was a positive one. Recognition of the work that she done. She got an award for it, and she's very happy with that, and I thought that was a nice positive news piece there. And another one here as well, coming from Wales, where a Welsh cannabis patient by the name of Paul Neal says that he just burst out crying when he was prescribed medical cannabis, saying that this flower has saved his life. Now, there's a headline. Like, that's a headline that's worth repeating around the place like that. Medical cannabis is one that's saving lives, you know, and cannabis prohibition is one that is taking lives. Cannabis prohibition is not only making access to cannabis medicines more difficult, but even while the patients have access to it, then it's making their lives fucking hell because of the stigma that exists around the use of medical cannabis. It's ridiculous, but this is how much cannabis means to patients out there. Like, this man was brought to tears when he was prescribed his medical cannabis, because his life of being treated like a criminal, you know, of using cannabis illegally, has finally come to an end, and he can now legally get access to that which he's rightfully entitled to as well, you know. No man or woman out there should have the power to deny you access to that which provides you a better quality of life, and by fact does cannabis do that for many bloody patients out there. So this is over there on walesonline.co.uk. So if you want to read this article in full, do get over there and read it. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes there and stuff like that from this. It says that when most people think of cannabis, they tend to think of dubious street dealings and pungent-smelling illicit cannabis factories. And why would that be? Why would that be? Oh yeah, cannabis prohibition, that's why. Because if you went back prior to the 1930s, before cannabis prohibition ever existed, if you actually talked about cannabis, you would have actually been talking about cannabis medicines, because that's where cannabis actually tended to exist most, is in the medicine cabinet of doctors, or in the medical tool bag of doctors, or herbalists or medical practitioners of some kind. You know, it's interesting that cannabis prohibition actually led to a removal of the herbal monographs for cannabis from both the Herbal Pharmacopoeia in the US and the UK. That's how bad cannabis prohibition was, and that's why people tend to think of street dealers and pungent-smelling, problematic cannabis users when they think of cannabis, instead of a medicine that's used by young and old for a wide range of conditions, you know? And it's all because of cannabis prohibition. And it goes on to say that while recreational cannabis is still illegal in the UK, a law change in 2018 stipulated that patients could be legally prescribed medical cannabis in condition it was via a registered specialist. So again, all those private specialists popping up, you know, cashing in on this green gold rush. And Paul has been medicating with legal cannabis since 2019 and said he was the first person in Wales to receive the prescription. Accessing cannabis through the NHS, however, it's 422 actually, guys. Yep, 422 blaze up there, because 422 is 422. Azores and Cape Verde. Right, back to the article. Quick interruption. We'll pack a ball in a sec. But it's saying there that Paul was prescribed anyway in 2019. He was the first in Wales to receive the prescription, and he says accessing cannabis through the NHS, however, is notoriously difficult, leaving Paul with a little choice than to pay privately. He says you can get more. Never mind that. He said, I was the first person in Wales to be prescribed legal cannabis. I suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, this is a mental health issue. Shout out there to our buddy Bobby Smith, you know. And again, another two mental health issues: borderline personality disorder and ADHD. So this guy has got 3 mental health issues, and he was prescribed medical cannabis, and it was so meaningful to him, it brought tears to this man's eyes. He says for 5 years ago, he was diagnosed with a rare bone disorder in his neck, spine, and called DISH, diffused idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis, which is a chronic pain all the way through. So he's got 3 mental health issues and chronic pain as well. He says there's a hidden community of middle-class professionals growing their own cannabis in gardening sheds, cupboards, and the Welsh wilderness. Before being prescribed cannabis, Paul tried a huge range of pharmaceutical medications, including MST, amitriptyline, gabapentin, and morphine. He said, before medical cannabis, I was prescribed 100 millilitres of morphine every week. It came to the point where I was just drinking it for fun. And guys, think about it. Morphine, like, many people die from morphine because of respiratory failure. Nobody's ever died from cannabis use. I came to cannabis through my stepdad in March 2018. We found he had stage 4 cancer. We heard so much about how cannabis can benefit people who have cancer, so my mum spent quite a bit of money buying it. Sadly, he passed away before he could try it, so I used a bit of the oil, and it ended up working really well. He says after trying the oil, I contacted a clinic in Lancashire for a legal prescription, but they wouldn't accept me because I had PTSD. You see the mental health issue coming up there for him. I then contacted Sapphire Clinic. I sent them over my GP summary of care. Not long after, I went up to Harley Street Clinic in London. I met the pharmacist. I told him about my past and what I'd been using, all completely transparent. The board assessed and approved the prescription, and that was that. I just burst out crying. My wife was sitting next to me. 3 years later, I'm here making the best of it. So there you go. Like, you know, cannabis has been beneficial for this guy, and it can be for many other patients too if we just allow them access. Goes on to say that since medicating with cannabis, Paul has been able to come off a number of prescription medications he was taking before, including the morphine. And again, these prescription medications he was getting before, that was paid for by the NHS. So he's coming off medicines, saving the NHS money, and they're still not covering the cost of his medical cannabis because it's not approved, or whatever bullshit excuse they have at the moment over there. He said, in the last 18 months of receiving a medical cannabis prescription, I've been able to come off of the morphine, the diazepam, and I've cut down on my antidepressants and sleeping tablets. I can go out and do a day's work. I've got a life. The flower has saved my life. When I was on morphine, I'd be zonked out, rubbing my face, gouging, I had no life. I didn't want to be around my children, and now I can go and play football with my 10-year-old son, and now that it's a legal prescription. I have no anxiety about taking the medicine. My in-laws are very anti-drugs, so at the beginning they were a bit skeptical about it. Now that they've seen the improvement in my health and what I can do on this medicine, they support me. They've seen me zonked out on the sofa, not wanting to do anything on my previous medication, and being a bad dad, but no, I'm genuinely the best dad I can be. fuck me, man. That's hitting me in the feels right there now. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I'm reading this back over, I'm getting the tingles there. Like, it's like that's really hitting an emotive piece there. Like a dad who, on one medication, he was a bad dad, as he describes it himself, and no dad wants to describe himself as a bad dad. Like I would hate to ever be in a position where I would imagine myself being a bad dad. And he's able to be what he's describing then as being the best dad he can be because of medical cannabis. Like, I know there's many reasons why cannabis needs to be legalized, like, but fuck me, like, if there's any prohibitionist out there who can read this and then go on to continue to support prohibition afterwards, I can, like, you show me that person and I will show you a person who has got no fucking heart. I tell you that now. That is for sure. If Bobby Smith and Mary Cannon can read this and can look at this and then go on to say that medical cannabis is a lie, it's just a Trojan horse so that recreational cannabis can be legalized, well, by God, I tell you, those are some heartless monsters. Maybe your man fucking was right that there's some lizard people out there, and fucking Bobby Smith and your man Mary Cannon are the leaders. Fucking cold, heartless credence. Oh, Mary Cannon and Bobby Smith are going to be getting her off me later. I've got a few lovely little pictures that I'm working on there at the moment, attributing the death of Damiola Olankami to prohibitionists out there like them. But yes, Paul said his new medicine had meant he could finally enjoy a decent Swansea City game at the stadium too, adding, I'm a season ticket holder, but when I sit down I get stiff. When that happens, I just ask the steward if I can go out and take my medicine, and when I say it's medical cannabis, there are no problems. It's weird, but it's changed my life. I do tell youngsters who smoke it now to be careful, because it will have lasting effects in years to come. If you do it right though, through a doctor, it can be a lifesaver. So, as I say, guys, if you do want to go and read that, do go on over and read the rest of that article. It's over there on walesonline.co.uk. I'm not going to finish off reading the rest of the article. It just goes on there talking about the benefits, some of the statistics there from Sapphire Medical and stuff like that. I don't really want to be advertising Sapphire Medical, especially after seeing what I seen there earlier today. And we go over here to Facebook for a second, and we pop up another page, and N.I. Canna guy, I believe he gets prescribed from Sapphire. Just get up, Alan. Well. Ah, crap, my keyboard's after cutting up me. Oh well. Was he there? It was up in his story there earlier today, Alan Robinson. It's probably because I've watched it now already. It's after disappearing on me. No. Oh, well, never mind. Anyway, Alan Robinson was showing me there earlier on today that basically he got sent a load of shake from for his medical cannabis prescription, and he wasn't at all happy. So I'd suggest getting over there to the N.I. Canna guy and checking out his page if you'd like to see that video. I was hoping to be able to pull her up, but for some fucking reason, my keyboard has decided it wanted to disconnect. Sorted. I've got the keyboard back in action. Let's do this. Yes. Yes, there we go. Hit the right one. Here we go. I don't know what the music's about, Al. Here we go. Look, he's showing her inside in this, basically, inside in that little tub. He's showing that basically it's just like, look at that. It looks like it's already grinded. There's a few tiny little nuggets, and he's basically saying that he just got the end of the bags. Do you know, this the makings of shake. That's what he's comparing it to. So that's not good for the medical cannabis companies that are supplying that cannabis to the patients. Patients deserve much better quality medicine than that. Where's these videos? Al, man, what's the story with your TikTok, boy? What are you doing on TikTok, boy? I really need to get going on the TikTok, actually. My kids keep telling me, Dad, you should really be getting videos up on TikTok. You'll do really well over there. Especially now that I got a suit on. But yeah, there you go. You seen that little video there anyway from Alan, and the appalling excuse of cannabis being sent to patients there by Sapphire Medical. Finally, guys, to finish off, do I have one more news piece? I'm not too sure if I do. One second, I want to just have a quick look-see. Oh, yes, I do. I do indeed. How could I bloody forget? It's kind of our own news. The upcoming protests, guys, in Ireland. There's upcoming protests in Dublin. It's 2 weeks from today. For 420, guys. So 420 is going to be happening above in Dublin. We're going to be... Stop messaging. So 420 is going to be happening above there in Dublin. We're going to be meeting at the Garden of Remembrance. We talked about this there in the past, but it's official now anyway. We're going to be meeting at the Garden of Remembrance at about 2 o'clock. We're going to be marching then from there down to the Leinster House, down to the Dáil where our government sit. The government will be sitting on that day because it will be a Wednesday. It's going to be midweek, as that's the day that 420 falls on this year. That's the 20th of April at 2 o'clock at the Garden of Remembrance, guys. Make sure to do your best to be there if you can get the day off work if you're working. Excellent stuff. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do my best to get up there as well. There's going to be another event on the Saturday, which I am going to be a speaker at then. I'm not confirmed to speak on the Wednesday, as I'm not sure if I can make it. But I'm confirmed as a speaker. Oh, I should accept a co-host there. I'm confirmed as a speaker for the 23rd. Then this is the Saturday, the 23rd of April, above there in Dublin's Phoenix Park. So again, guys, if you've been there in the past, then you know where it's going to be. If you've not, then it's going to be at the Wellington Monument. It's a big ass monument, guys. It can be seen from all around. Do you know what? In fact, I might just quickly Google it so you can see it. There we go. So that's her. That's the Wellington Monument. So that's where we're going to be gathering. You can see that, like, once you come into Dublin by is it Houston Station, and that's viewable, I'm pretty sure, from like outside of Houston Station if you're at the right side of it. But that's the Wellington Monument. That's where we're going to be gathering on the Saturday. So guys, if you're on Facebook, get over there and check out these event pages. So these are over on Facebook. So on the Wednesday, it's called the March for Change. At the Garden of Remembrance, April 20th at 2 p.m. Speakers on the day include Gino Kenny with the People Before Profit. Others, I believe, maybe Garrett McGovern's possibly going to be there. And I believe there's going to be some patients speaking as well, including Amy Brown, who suffers with endometriosis. Again, I'm just speaking off the top of my head. I don't know if that's right, but I think that's right. Could be mixing it up with the Saturday. So again, if you can't make the Wednesday, guys, as I said, do your best to make the Wednesday. There's going to be a march as part of that one. There's going to be, again, a civil disobedience part of this as well. So we are encouraging you, yes, to bring your own cannabis to both protests. Come with pre-rolls if that's how you consume. If you vaporize, excellent. Speaking of vaporizers, Olio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Temperature, I'm going to set it at... I'm going to set the temperature at 210. Or 240. So once you set your temperature, don't know if you can see that, temperature set, I then press the button, press and hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you get this little play sign. So it's now heating. So it takes like 30 seconds to heat up to the right temperature, to the acquired temperature, and then you can take an inhale. and it vibrates. I don't know if you heard the vibration there, but it vibrates as well. So it's really cool. So if something like this is how you consume a vaporizer, then come loaded with your own cannabis on the day. You know, be ready to come and consume your cannabis as part of a civil disobedience protest with other cannabis activists who will be there on the day to protest. So this now is heated up. So it's telling me that I have 120 seconds to take 2 hits. So I'll take the first one. And you're supposed to take a 2-second inhale, it says. So okay, I went a bit longer than that. Okay. Yeah, probably might have had the temperature set too low. So yes, guys, bring your own cannabis to both events. Oh, come back to me. There we go. Didn't want to focus anymore. It was fed up of me messing with it. So that is all of today's 4. No, it's not actually. We've got one more. A very large cannabis factory discovered over in Wales. This came in via Mr. Finnegan. Mr. Finnegan, thanks very much for sending me this. 2,700 cannabis plants discovered in a former sports and social club on Friday by the South Wales Police. So almost a ton of cannabis plants being removed from the property and taken away for destruction. So heartbreaking devastation over there. It really is. And especially, you know, given that last patient was from Wales, how many Welsh cannabis patients are actually relying on this cannabis grow operation? Mad, isn't it? And we're just destroying it, still treating it like a narcotic, a dangerous drug, when in actual fact it's a life-saving plant. We turn up the heat there now on this thing. Try 310. That's really bumping up the heat a bit. Some of the cannabis plants, though, in fairness, like, you know, just think about what that would have meant for the local community if these plants were being grown and produced, because you talk about 820 kilos of cannabis. That's a lot of cannabis. You're talking the millions of pounds there. Millions of pounds, you know, 20% of a million pound, that's fucking 200,000. That's a lot of money. And they're just going to destroy it now. Let's see, I turned up the heat there now, so we'll see if we can get a bit more vapor out of it this time. So you're only supposed to take 2 inhales off of that. So that was it. Like I'll be very honest, and it's kind of like other vaporizers. Like it just doesn't have a feeling. It doesn't feel like I'm taking anything in. And I don't know if that's the intention. But I'm used to feeling stuff going in, so maybe I have a bit of my perception is a bit different. My expectation is different. So I can feel the device is warmish, but not hot at all. Like you can just feel a little bit of heat emanating out of it, but that's not bad. But I really don't feel like I'm getting vapor. That's just how I feel. I wonder how others out there would feel about this. I wonder how others have experienced with this. I have to talk with the CEO again, you know, based on my experience. But just based on that initial experience, I'm kind of like, am I using it wrong? I'm wondering, because I don't know if I'm getting something. I've kind of opened the chamber there now, so I can taste stuff when I'm drawing through it, like, but it's because I'm just breathing in like cannabis that's stuck in a straw. Yep. We'll say no more on that one. But yeah, that's coming out of Wales, and another headline as well coming out of Leicester, where the house fire, fire crews tackled the house fire only to stumble upon a cannabis grow operation hidden inside. So again, this is another example as to how prohibition makes communities dangerous. You know, this is how I talked about Mr. Bell a while ago, asking how what do prohibitionists actually do to our community. Well, this is what they do. They create situations where you can get foolish people who come in and maybe try to bypass electricity, and then thereby create a fire risk. And then quite often or not, fires do tend to break out. So that is as a result of cannabis prohibition. That's not a cannabis growers problem, because there is a lot of responsible cannabis growers out there who go out of their way to they get relays and all of this kind of the right equipment to ensure that they're not going to create a fire risk. Then you get other clowns who are like fucking on wish.com buying the cheapest of the cheap, and that they're fucking bypassing electricity using dodgy wires and stuff. And then, you know, it'll be an unfortunate day, you know, when there's going to be a headline, you know, the fire crews tackle a house fire, and find, you know, a dead family in one house and a cannabis grow in the house that the fire actually broke out, and, you know, two houses go up in smoke, neighbouring houses. That'll be an unfortunate day. And then again, you know, more blood in the hand of the prohibitionists. But I wonder, will the media have the balls to call them out in it? I don't think they will. So, guys, that is all of your 420 news today on from Martin's World. Time to loosen the tie now. Yeah, we loosen the tie now. We let it loose. We turn off this thing. We go back to the hot box for a bit, and we can blaze up a few bowls there in the bong as well. Nice old audience out there as well at the moment, guys. Howdy, everybody out there, all 49 of you, 50 of you beautiful people out there tuning into this. It's 420 news. Well, guys, if you're only just tuning in now, we're just going to shoot the breeze there with the guys in the hot box. We're about to blaze up one or two bowls before we say our goodbyes. Let's go to the hot box and let's see what's been going on out there. John Finnegan says, Martin, here's the link for a video you were talking about with Alan. Nice one. Is this a good video, yeah? Yes, that's a good video, I think. Nice one, John. No, that's the same one. Shit. Never mind, John. Boys, what's cannabis got you off gabapentin, is it? Feck. What were you on gabapentin for? Was that pain or what? Tinkle Thinks has asked, I asked the doctors about cannabis, but they won't talk to me and say what I'm taking is not addictive. The lies. Mad shit by it. They won't talk to you about cannabis, but meanwhile, you know, you come down and talk about any other drug that you want, but I need their drugs. John Finian says, Shilbert, I'm heading to Product Art. Think I will get the camping ticket if anyone in chat wants to join. We can chip in for a yurt. Yurt? I just looking through there. Chilbert, yeah, nice. Nice. Chilbert saying that he's got a camping ticket and there'll be a real hash bang this year. Nice. Look forward to that. Yeah, nice one for the heads up there as well on the blurry camera, guys. That was just a bit of refocusing issues. Nice. And Chilbert saying that you can get 10% discount vouchers from some of the sponsors of Product Art. Apparently Ali Bongo did one. I must get on to the Product Art. Maybe I can secure an old discount there for listeners of the show. Nice, yeah, that's right. You did too, actually. Chilbert saying here that they had a Percy Village site that they pitched last year. Maybe this year will be a Percy's 10th town. No, it's going to be a Martin's world, but that's what it's going to be. Never mind your village and your town. It's going to be a world. Just jokes, jokes. Yeah. John Finnegan said it right here. He says, never vaped ever, but from what I heard, it sips and out rips. I think that's my problem. As a cannabis consumer, I've gotten privy to rips and not sips. So when a device requires me to take a sip, I'm just an impatient patient. Mustafa says, I wonder if ZN would be a product yurt. Anyone recommend great quality volume for money t-shirt printer designer? Coming in there from Chilbert. If anybody knows one, get on to Chilbert. Sean M. Duggan says, enjoying the show, Martin. Nice one, good to know. Nice one. After your strokes, for neurological stuff, yeah, because they were talking to me about that same drug, the pre-gabapentin or whatever it's called, because of the seizures, that was a possible one that they could trial me on as well, if the Tegretol doesn't work out. Yeah. Yeah, Canaman83 says that I ripped the Mighty, but the thing is, the Mighty was, I suppose, designed initially with the recreational market in mind, but then they got approved for medicinal use. But yeah, I definitely would be with you on that. I've tried the Mighty myself as well, and you can certainly bump it up and get rips. I'm going to try this one more time, and we'll bump it up to the top temperature. So the top temperature will possibly cause combustion. Yeah, I did have it actually very low, I suppose, really. So she's really high now. It's at 430. Everybody's like, why didn't he do 420? I did do 420. I was joking. Yeah, Ross, Dr. Green Thumb, a volcano, I would certainly be giving a thumbs up for that idea. 2 thumbs up, actually. Volcanoes are fucking the shiz, like that. That is the Rolls Royce of vaporizers. It's not mobile though, that's the only downside. But then again, if that is something you're looking for, they got the Mighty and the Crafty, which are both cool. Still heating up here. I think I can smell something now, actually. Ross Dr. Green Thumb says that's what we want is a weed world. Weed world, excellent. Yes. Hunter says blunts and joints here can't get used to vapes and bongs. Takes a bit of getting used to, alright, like, but once you get used to them, there's kind of no really going back then. Alright, so she's ready. There we go. I will take back my past review of this when I said it wasn't actually hitting. I did have the temperature set very low, so I was getting just kind of a terpy hit, which was nice. It was tasty, but it didn't feel like much. On that one, on that draw, I actually got some nice vapor consumption there. So thumbs up for the Olio. Two nice hits in a row there now. Quite nice. And you can see some of that vapor actually coming back out. And look, fits in the suit pocket and all that. Back in the suit there now. Not really cool actually. Actually, yeah. I did set the temperature quite low there the first two times I tried it out. Once I got it up over that 400 mark, she started getting a nice old little hit going. Like temperature wise, I'm used to using the volcano and only setting it at like kind of between. I normally float between the 6.5 and kind of 8. I never really go up to the maximum, which is 9. I normally kind of go for like 2 or 3 bowls then as well, or bags. But with this, I don't know, it's quite nice. Yeah, she hits away nicely. Olio actually gave me this too. This was a mock-up card for their patients. Cannabis for medical use registrar. This is a mock card. Obviously, Shauna Murphy is like Jane Doe, and that image is taken from like a stock base of images. So there you see it. Like, you have the HSE stamps down there at the bottom. Cannabis for medical use registrar has a CMR number, HSE stamp and stuff like that. And it's really cool. It's really cool. Just for ease of use, then for patients, if you're prescribed this product and you have, get pulled in by the cops, you just show them this. Boom. I wish I looked like Shauna and I could use this. Yes, I'm Shauna Murphy. Adam O'Brien says the humble joint can't be beat. Yes, it can. You thought a humble joint like it's like weed and tobacco as well, yeah, yeah. You're not even talking like a blunt, like purely. Oh, my taste of tobacco. I'm so glad they're behind me. Canaman 83 says usually finish everything off with a boost at 210. Chilbert UK, so much choice now in consumption. The variety is great for various occasions. That it is. That it is indeed. And Mastawa says the S&B Starks and Bickle Plenty is amazing. I got a barely used one for €100 and bought a fresh mouthpiece. That's a savage deal, man. You got yourself a nice old bargain there. Canaman says I'll consume in any form. Rate the Plenty too. Hunter off to meet up with 2 absolute killers tomorrow. Should be a good day. Nice, Hunter. Have a nice day out tomorrow, man. And hopefully you got some nice herbs that you can share. Chilbert UK says I like to smoke short pure joints, but I also like to dab rosin in my triple filtered percolator bong via a hot nail controlled by dab station. High tech and low tech, both wonderful. Oh man, it's been so long since I actually had a dab. The last one I had was with the guys when we were having an old game of smoke or poker. And it man, the sweats, like it would just take a hit, like, and there's a delay as well with the cough, which was funny, but the sweats would be instant. Like you're taking a hit, you inhale, and you're like, and next you're like, oh shit, you're feeling the rush now, and the sweats would come on and everything. It was cool. It was a rush. And then like about a minute or two later, you're like for about another 2 minutes coughing away. The delayed cough is always so funny. I don't know. Is that something other people get when they dab? Do other people get a delayed cough with dabs? Like you hit the dab, you think you're good, and then like a minute later, you're like, oh, coughing up a lung and a half. Chilbert UK says also rate my Puffco Peak for rosins. Yeah, I've not really tried much extracts in the Volcano now, so I can't say too much. I did try some RSO and the pass on top of that little gauze patch that they had, and that done well. I had nothing at the time as well, so it got me out of a jam. But yeah, I've not tried too much else other than that. Casa de Struga says I would buy a plenty just to complete the collection. Have you got the Volcano as well, Casa? Yeah, nice. Happy days. That's the job. You didn't splash out and get the solid gold one, did you have by any chance? Did you see that, guys? Anybody see that the Volcano now, Starks and Bickle, they had like I don't know, it was a limited edition. It was like a gold plated Volcano, just if you're balling hard like. John Finnan says, right, Chankers, my phone is about to die. Love you all and my misguided virtual family, and catch you all in the next cartoon. That you will, Mr. Finnegan, that you will, but until then, stay handsome, buddy. Ross Dr. Greenthumb says, I'm looking into getting a Volcano. As I said, man, I would highly recommend it. It's a great investment. It really is an investment because I've had mine now for 7 years, I think. And as I said, it's a big spend initially, but if you spread it out over 7 years, like, and hopefully I'll get to 10 years, that would be only €40 a year it would have cost me, or maybe €30 a year. I think I got a good discount on mine, actually. Shout out to the Funky Skunk in Cork. But yeah, I think I got a good discount on mine at the time when it was bought. Actually, the girlfriend did. She bought it as a birthday present for me. I rightly get spoilt, don't I? Love you. If you're out there, you know who you are. But yeah, like if you spread the cost over a couple of years, like you're looking at pennies. Yeah, it really is, like, you know, it's a really great investment, because you get great use out of it, you know, especially if you've got guests around. If you're a person who tends to have friends over, it's a great piece to have there, you know. If you've got a few people in and you're having a cup of tea, it's like warm up the Volcano, get a couple of bags out, pass the bags around. It's great. It's a great social little piece. So yeah, it's worth it. Oh, you got the Onyx Black one. I seen that, actually. The Onyx Black one looks really nice. Slick looking, like, isn't it? Like pure slick piece, like smooth out. Ross Dr. Greenthumb says, my missus getting mine. Nice, Ross. Nice. That's the job. Let's pack up another bowl here, guys. Where are we? Where are we at the time? Just rolling up on 6 o'clock. Oh. So who out there, guys, is going to be coming along to the 420 protests in Dublin? Anybody out there going to be above there on the Wednesday? Anybody going to be there on both days? Anybody only going to be able to make the Saturday? I'd be interested in hearing from you there in the comments as to who's going to be about. Obviously, I understand there's a few guys out there in the UK and further afield and stuff like that, so it's understandable you won't be there. I believe there's going to be a raffle on both days as well. Some great prizes are to be handed in for both raffles. So again, I believe you have to be there on the day to take part in the raffle. I think you might be able to get tickets actually above in the Funky Skunk in Dublin for the one on the Saturday. But on the Wednesday, I think you have to be there on the Wednesday to get the tickets for that. Ross, Dr. Greenthumb, yes, definitely. Nice one, that's the job. And Hunter says, we'll try my best to get up to the protest on the Wednesday. Legend, nice one, Hunter. And Sean M. Duggan says, definitely on the Saturday. I would imagine the Saturday is going to be much more attainable for people to come along to. But hopefully people can get there on the Wednesday as well. At Lone Records, and that's Mr. Kenny out there. What's happening, Kenny? Says I'll be there on the 420 to speak on the day. Yes, so Kenny Tynan there is confirmed as a speaker on the day. And I'd like to just as well, guys, share a positive news piece there with you. and it was one that was shared by Kenny, and I hope Kenny doesn't mind me sharing, but I believe Kenny is the tumour could not be found on his last test. So I believe that's a very nice positive news to be sharing. So congrats on that, Kenny, and long may the good health continue, buddy. I look forward to catching up with you in person above there, hopefully on 420, and we can share an old what do you call it? An old freedom stick. We can light up some freedom sticks together. Teresa O'Connell says, I find if you don't take it all in one lungful, I cough, but if take small ones, I'm grand. Nice, that's with the dabs, yeah. Yeah, I've not tried taking it in small ones. I've always just gone into one go, just like fucking just go for it, like. But great to hear you're going to be coming above there anyway, Kenny. Ross Dr. Green Thumb says, I live beside a funky skunk. Oh, nice, happy days, Ross. We were only underneath there, so about a week or two ago, not a week or two ago, a few weeks ago now, when we were up in Dublin for Gino Kenny's What About Us, the launch of that campaign. We were down underneath there in the funky skunk, and we had a little smoking party. Dale Gone says, I'll be trying Saturday, suits better, so Phoenix Park. Yeah, that's where it's going to be. Phoenix Park above there in Dublin, 2 o'clock on the Saturday. Again, there's going to be a great raffle there on that day as well. Some great prizes to be won. So make sure to do your best, guys, to get down there. And if you see me, guys, say hi. Introduce yourselves. And if I haven't met you before, come over, say hi. And just make sure if you use a YouTube name like that, you just introduce yourself with that, and then you can follow up with your real name if you want, if you wish. Scatness is going to be there on both days. Excellent stuff, Scatness. Legend. Let's blaze one up, guys. Little civil disobedience protest here as we talk about the protests. Ross Dr. Green Thumb saying that he hasn't had a dab in years. Yeah, as I said, no, it's been about a year or so since I've had a dab. Was it a year? No, probably maybe about 6 to 9 months, somewhere in that region. Hopefully we can pop that cherry again there soon. I see ZN after chap dropping into the hot box out there. What's happening, ZN? And I see Teresa O'Connell saying that she's going to be attending on both days as well. So great stuff there, guys. Some great activism out there by people showing up, coming along to these protests. Guys, as well, if people would like to get involved with the Cannabis Activist Alliance, and if you haven't been in touch yet to do so, get in touch by all means. You can get involved with the Cannabis Activist Alliance. We meet every Tuesday at 9 o'clock via Zoom, and we're organising these protests in partnership with the guys at the major protest. So make sure, get up there and support these guys. Find the posters there through Facebook and stuff like that, and share them in other places as well. I believe they're up on Instagram and bits like that as well. So do your piece, share it over so others can learn about the day, and hopefully we get some other people showing up who mightn't have shown up otherwise. Hunter saying, need to find a piece of clothing y'all can recognise me by. Get yourself a Hunter's coffee shop. You know that one, Hunter's. They actually have a really nice logo, in fairness. You know the one. I'll just get her up there now. There we go. This is a cool. I think this is a cool logo. Hunters are Hunter's happiness. That's what I would suggest. Get the Hunter's happiness, because you don't really want to be going around wearing a top that says a coffee shop, and you can't do this one. And like, in happiness in your own sense can be a little code word, because the dog's even got those little, he's got those heavy looking eyes. But yeah, I thought their logo was quite cool. Hit the cough button. Hey, good to hear you're going all good, Zian. Sorry I haven't been present actually over in High and Homegrown over the last while. Been just busy in the off time. Quite happy to be able to find the time to get these streams done there again lately. But I do look forward to catching up on some of your shows. I see you had the Elaine Ingram on there last night. That's a really good podcast. I'm going to really enjoy listening to. I've been following Elaine Ingram's work for a good while. I'm a big subscriber to working with the life within the soil. You know, this living soil kind of approach. Teaming with microbes, teaming with fungi, and all of that. By Jeff Lowenfels. Yeah, great guys. Jeff Lowenfels, he's another cool guy that you should probably have on, or you probably have had on actually in the past, have you? Or was it on another podcast I listened to with him? Never mind. Going off on a bit of a tangent there. Well, there you go, Hunter. Hunter's happiness. So get that slapped onto a hoodie for yourself and we'll all find you. Also does the hand with the sign hand that I do. Does the sign with the hand I do. Nice. Ross Dr. Greentime says, sorry about all the comments. It's just I'm bored in hospital. Ross, man, don't be apologising at all. The more comments, the better, guys. Get talkative. That's what the hotbox is about. It's there for conversation, guys. I love going through the hotbox and seeing all of the different conversations that be happening within there. I love that people are making friends within the hotbox, like within this little thing, within the show, that there's people making friendships there. And not only there then as well, guys, I have to give a shout out to the 24/7 hotbox that's developing a nice little community as well. Over on Telegram. The link to that is in the description below. So if you want to check that out, by all means, you're all more than welcome. We welcomed a few new faces there recently again, so it's great that the family is growing, which is a pun in a maybe a little secretive way. Or maybe not so secretive now. Hey, Tom Tyler says, used to get some great bud from Hunters next to Hill Street Blues when they still were when they were still a coffee shop. Is Hunters still not a coffee shop? The other one isn't, but the one near to the Dam Station is though, isn't it? Like the one when you kind of around the corner from the Grasshopper. Because that to me was always like the first place you would go, because it was always the earliest coffee shop that opened in Amsterdam. Because we would always get the early flight from Cork. You'd be in Amsterdam about 9 o'clock and nowhere is open except Hunters. So down to Hunters for a hot chocolate and some weed, some blunts. So hopefully that one's still open, because that's what I'll be intending to do if I go back to Amsterdam anyway. Straight to Hunters once I get out of the Dam Station. Hey, what's happening, Dagadoc? I've never read the book Starship Troopers, but if it's anything like the movie, I've watched the movie, and the movie was great. I really liked the movie, the Starship Troopers, where the boys were fighting the bugs. Great movie. Never read a book though. Didn't even know there was a book, to be very honest. Right, so guys, 10 minutes to 4:20. Should we stick for 10 more minutes? No, look, I'm gonna have to bounce. I'm gonna have to get a few things done. I see the sun is shining a bit outside, and I'm gonna have to get to go walk the dogs. So guys, I will love you and leave you. So wherever you might be in the next 10 minutes, enjoy the next 4:20 as it rolls around, because it's always 4:20 somewhere, guys. I believe the next 4:20 is kind of happening over somewhere in South America and Brazil and places like that. So enjoy it, guys. I'll be back hopefully, guys, on Friday with more 420 news. So until then, everybody, stay blazed, stay safe. Most importantly, guys, don't you want to end up on the 420 news, and stay blazed. Peace. Bye bye.